The Texas-Nebraska game didn't disappoint anybody on Saturday. It ended up like all the other Texas-Nebraska game that we've had since we've been here. In fact, 5 of the last 7 have come down to the last drive of the game and within 4 points of each other. We have great respect for Nebraska. I really wish in retrospect we would have asked Coach Royal and Coach Osborne to go out for the coin toss, because that would have been something that would have been special for all of us, with 6 national championships standing out there at one time. And we just did not, we had a little on our mind, so we didn't think about it. But this has been a great series between 2 really proud programs. And as we said, when Texas played Ohio State, and when we played Michigan, and we play USC, and we play Oklahoma, and then you add Nebraska to that group of winningest programs in college football history, it's really special, and maybe even more special to me because I am a football historian and love looking back at Coach Devaney and what he was able to accomplish there, and Mr. Bible here. And to see that Mr. Bible coached at Nebraska and coached at Texas is really special too. It's just unusual. Bill Callahan and his staff had their guys ready to play. It was exactly what we thought. We thought there'd be less pressure with them on the road than at home, because they'd had a couple of tough home games in a row. We felt like that because of all of the problems they had in stopping the run, that they would do something drastically different to try to stop the run. We weren't sure what it was. They were blitzing 19% coming in, and I think they blitzed every play during the ball game. So it was a good risk by them. And I give our offensive coaches and offensive players credit, because they had enough patience to hang in there and figure it out. Figure out the new schemes and end up scoring 19 points in the fourth quarter and not getting frustrated and not panicking. And our defense and kicking game doing a good job of hanging in there until our offense had a chance to figure it all out. And unlike Kansas State, we figured it out. We hung together as a team, and we didn't turn the ball over. So we protected the ball at the same time, and all of those things helped us win. You could tell Nebraska came in to run the ball and use play action, because they've had turnover problems, and those are the best ways to take care of the ball better. They wanted to do a better job with their turnover ratio and third downs, and they did that in the first half. I thought they did exactly what they wanted to do. And good coaching staffs at halftime go back and look at successes and setbacks in the first half and try to learn from the setbacks, and I thought that's what our staff did, and I give our offensive staff credit for doing a great job the second half. This has been a resilient team. It hasn't been an easy year. Things just haven't happened like they have some in our past, but they're hanging in there and they're getting better, and they believe they can win, and I'm really proud of them. That was a very, very difficult game to win on Saturday. We didn't start well. Last 5 minutes of the half, we miss a field goal and they score on a long pass with 43 seconds left. Everybody says you've got to start the third quarter right. We didn't do that either. We come back out, and they go into the wind and throw a pass and hit it for a touchdown, and we're down 17-3. So everything is against us having a chance to come back and win, and the guys still did it. Explosive plays. Well, and may I say, too, some of the Nebraska players told me after the game that our fans cheered them leaving the field like they've done it at Nebraska for us. So I thought that was really a classy move for whoever those fans were, and I know the Nebraska coaches and players appreciated it. We had 11 explosive plays compared to their 8. Obviously, we're happy with the 11. We're disappointed with the 8. We've got to do a better job of keeping the ball from being thrown down the middle so easily, and Dwayne will talk to you about that when he gets here. We only forced 1 turnover, and it was huge when Frank Ocam knocked the ball out of Sam Keller's hands and picked it up and started running with it, which shows you his athletic ability. I think he's jealous of the fact that Derek Lokey's playing fullback, and he's trying to get some offensive yards. But we were only able to force that. We only lost 1 also, and that was a tip ball on a pass that it looked like we had Quan Cosby open with the all-out blitz for a touchdown, and got the line of scrimmage, tipped it, and it was very unlucky. And we won all 3 phases of the kicking game. Proud of our rushing attack to rush for 364 yards, as much as that's been discussed around here for the last couple of years. Probably won't be discussed a lot this week. We'll go to something else. Had 545 yards total offense, which was really good with a slow start we had. As we said, we had the 1 turnover that was a tip ball. Dallas Griffin was named one of the Dratty finalists for National Honor Scholarship last week for the National Football Foundation, which is the highest academic award you can get as a college football player, and he was also our outstanding player during the ball game. Maybe with all those blitzes, it took the smartest guy out there to figure out who to block. So, but he did really, really well. Proud of Jamal. He has hung in there. He had the very publicized couple of tough plays at OU. He didn't have as good a second half at Baylor as he wanted. And other than that, he's had a great year. He's already gained more than 1,000 yards. In fact, I looked it up this morning. He's passed Hodges Mitchell and Eric Metcalf in number of total yards for a career already in his junior year at Texas. He's 153 yards behind Jam Jones. He's 202 yards behind Hall of Famer Roosevelt Leaks. And he's only 406 yards behind Vince Young, and we thought Vince was a good runner. So I think Jamal's more than put his place in Texas history, and I don't think I've ever seen a guy have a better performance for especially a quarter, much less a game, and really proud of him and hope that he'll continue with that same confidence for the rest of the year. He's gained 2,700 yards in his career here, and that's a good start with a year and a half left. Wide receivers had 13 knockdowns, and that helps us with the explosive runs on a day where they don't get as many passes or the passing game's not going as smoothly. You got to have some big knockdowns downfield to have 80-yard runs, and they don't get the credit for it, but it sure happened, and proud of them. And also proud of Colt. He had 3 explosive runs. Thought he was really patient. He showed a lot of leadership and toughness during the ball game, and we're really, really proud of him. His record now 17-5, and that's a little bit skewed because one of those 5, he was ahead at 7-0 at Kansas State when he came out. So he's really 17-4 as a starting quarterback. And I look back, Major's 22-8, Peter Gardier's 25-16, and James Brown, all really good quarterbacks for us, 25-13. So Colt is also putting himself in a great place in Texas history. Sudden change. We played well on defense Saturday. A couple of, especially in the third quarter when we were in some trouble, there were about 6 3-and-outs in a row. When the ball was tipped by Nebraska's defense and intercepted, they took it right back, gave it to our offense, and they go 98 yards and score in 3 plays. We only forced 1 turnover. We need to do a better job in that area. We felt like we've got to manage the end of the half and the start of the third quarter better than we have a couple of times, and really the end of the game. The last drive, we let them have some short passes, and then they took it right down and scored. We may have to put more pressure in those situations. Sergio Kendall had his best game. Derek Loki and Frank Ocam dominated the line of scrimmage, and Brian Arakpo seems to be getting better every play. Our punting game was really, really good. Justin Moore had 3 punts inside the 20. One of the reasons it was a hard game to score is Nebraska had 4 punts inside the 20, so it was a field position game with a lot of wind. We missed the 1 field goal but made 3, and we work on running out with no time left at kicking field goals every week, and when we had a young guy that wasn't prepared to run out there on time, I thought Ryan and the offense did a great job of hanging in there and kicking with a few seconds left, and Hunter Lawrence had 2 or 3 touchbacks at a time of the game where it was really important. Oklahoma State may be the most improved team in the country from start of the season till now. They are just running up and down the field. They're a fun offense to watch, and it'll be a great challenge for us this weekend. Mike Gundy's done a great job. As I said, probably as good as anybody in the country. We've always had great games with them. Savage is running the ball really well. He's one of the best rushers in the country. Zach Robinson is taken over their offense, and he's running and throwing. He's really fun to watch. Darius Bowman may be the best receiver in the country. He's leading in yards, and he was at North Carolina as a great player, and we saw what he did against us last year. But their rushing offense, they're number 5 in the country, rushing for 256 yards. Total offense, they're number 10 in the country, gaining 487 yards. They're scoring 35 points a game. Their defense blitzes 49% of the time, so we should have gotten a lot of work on that last week. So it should be a week that we're ready for more blitz. And they're very athletic. They're one of the more athletic defenses that will play. Like us, they've been kind of even in the turnover ratio area. But they've only allowed 7 sacks this year, and I think it's because they're running the ball so well. So it'll be a great challenge for us. It's an ABC game at 2:30. Our guys are excited. They know we've got a chance to finish really well here. This team has fought through a lot of adversity, and we know that the last 3 teams are really good. We're going to have to play well to win, and we got to take them one at a time, but the guys just continue to fight.
Coach, you're 9-0 against Oklahoma State, but you've had some memorable come-from-behind victories. Why has it been difficult, especially talk about playing in Stillwater?
Well, they're really good. They've done a great job up there. Like Lubbock and Kansas State, and every time you go on the road in the Big 12, it's tough. The environment's tough, and most of their kids come from Texas, so they're excited about playing the Longhorns.
Mack, there also seems to be kind of a shift about going on the road. We used to say you win at home and steal some on the road, but it seems like it's getting tougher at home, and you're seeing more big road victories.
Well, we are, and I saw in USA Today a couple of weeks ago that they said only 60% of the home teams are winning now, and that's really down from 10 years ago, so I'm not sure why.
Do you think it's pressure? Do you think, everybody's in this, got to have it now or get rid of everybody, and teams feel pressure at home?
Well, I'm not sure, but probably some of that, Roger. If you look, more people are booing, more people are angry. A lot of kids feel more pressure at home than they do on the road, and home crowds are getting tougher. Your best fans travel, usually because they're pumped and going. They're usually parents, and they usually like their kids. So parents usually don't boo their own kids. They might boo somebody else's, but they wouldn't boo their own. So that's probably true. I don't know that home crowds are as big as – they don't yell as much now as they used to, and some crowds across the country, not just ours, boo more. So I don't know that it's as big an advantage as it used to be. For some reason, it's not, because everybody's saying it's not. So we just have to figure out why.
How can the way you guys won this week help you going on the road?
Anytime you win a hard game, it's better to me than a blowout. It's not as much fun. Everybody will be critical of how we played for 3 quarters this week, and that helps our team. Media and fan-driven stuff that are negatives really motivate our team better than on days where it's really good. It's amazing to watch that for 10 years here, but it happens. Everybody will be talking about how great Oklahoma State is this week and how we're going to get beat, and that's a plus for us. So that's good. You all really help us out. You limit my motivational speeches. I have less pregame talks because of you all, and I'm trying to get our players to watch you more. Really helps us.
Did you have a chance to see, I don't know if you saw the television broadcast, but after Jamal came off the field at one point, Coach Rucker went over to him. Do you know what was said between the two and how special their relationship is? It looked like
No, they've got a great relationship, and Coach Rucker's had a tough year too. He just overcame cancer and wasn't even supposed to be out there, and he's back. And I'm hard on Coach Rucker. I'm hard on Jamal when we're not running the ball well. So they were both really pleased, and it was a great moment and a private moment. And I wouldn't even ask what they said to each other, but I'm sure he probably said, "Good job. I'm proud of you," and that kind of stuff in a very, very emotional way.
Coach Ron, when you look at the scores from Oklahoma State, it doesn't look like any of those games were close. But if you watched them, you know that in those first half, it was kind of a slow start for the Horns in some of those games. What are y'all going to do maybe to get that offense quicker? Well,
last week we spent all week talking about fast starts. We got us a little NASCAR, and we talked about racing, and we talked about getting out early, and it was 3-3 with 3 minutes left to go in the half. So we're not going to do anything. We worked all week last week on a fast start, and at the end of the first quarter, I said, "So much for fast starts, guys. We screwed this up too." So I think we just won't mention it. We've never started fast against Oklahoma State. I think we've played them 9 times and been behind 15. And way behind. I don't mean close. I mean way behind.
I think the time changes this week. Maybe you can do something with that.
Maybe it is. We'll just tell our guys we're starting 2 hours earlier or something. We'll tell them that the game's starting at 11:30. I remember Vince used to throw 2 interceptions to start the first quarter, and we used to tell him to go out early and throw them and get them out of the way, and then the game would start. So that got better. Maybe we'll tell this team that the game's starting before it does or something. I can't figure it out.
Does it give you more confidence after a win like that over Nebraska, though, that this team can fight back and come back?
Oh, yeah. This team has been so resilient. They've had everything happen to them. People have been more negative over 7 wins than I've ever heard. Media people, there have been so many injuries. There have been games that we traditionally would have blown out that were close, and they got criticized. They hadn't gotten any credit for anything. So this is getting to be a tough team. They like each other, and it kind of pulls the walls closer together. And, nobody going to give them any credit, and that's okay. We just hope they keep winning. But they're getting tougher, and they're understanding what you take to win. And like I said, most teams would have panicked. Most coaching staffs would have panicked on Saturday because the game wasn't going well, down 17-3 in the third quarter. A time where it wasn't good at home, and I don't think many staffs could have pulled that game out. It's an experienced staff and one that hung in there and with the players, and the players trust the coaches, and I thought it was a great win. You don't see that very much across the country.
Coach, was this a one-time thing because you knew Nebraska maybe was having some issues stopping the run, or is this going to dip into that pass-first philosophy that you guys have kind of employed from the beginning of the year?
I don't know. I think I haven't talked to the offensive staff much about it this morning. We've been a staff that's had to do whatever we needed to do to win. You know, we've run for 200 yards before this year, and so if you Iowa State, for example, we knew Gene was going to stack the line of scrimmage, so we threw it every time. We're just into winning. This bunch isn't good enough to go out and just do one, do the other. We got to be balanced and take what they give us and continue to work to just win. This team is, everybody here has been into rushing for 300, throwing for 500, looking sexy, looking pretty. This is not a sexy team. This is a team that needs to do anything they have to do to win. We are not consistently good enough to do anything except just keep fighting hard and trying to knock a ball loose and return a punt and block a kick. And if we play well, our last three will come right down to the end, just like Saturday. That's the way this year's been.
Does that kind of typify from your quarterback? I mean, Colt's been hit so many times, so hard this year, and most of the time just kind of bounces back. And you gave him a zone read right after he got his breath knocked out of him.
Yeah, we told him to fall down and make it look like to Nebraska that he was hurt, and then come out, and we were going to put John in and not run the zone read and put him back in. So that was part of the game plan, and I thought he did it well. He laid there, he rolled over. You noticed I didn't go out to check him because it was already in the plan. It was, and then a 30-yard run right after that was great. So I don't know how many times we can take him out like that. It may not work. But the thing that's happening with Colt is he's running so much better. He's scrambling and making plays with his feet better. He handled the pressure of Nebraska better than he handled the pressure of Kansas State. He didn't let it beat him down and get to him. He kept fighting back and ended up stronger in the fourth quarter than he was in the first. And we didn't have any clue that they would do this. They've never, ever blitzed as much as they did, and they showed new blitzes. They just came in and said our chance to win is force them to throw it, knock some balls loose, and not let them run it. And they're too good a coaching staff to continue to give up that many yards rushing without trying something different. So I thought all the credit should go to them. But Greg Davis hung in there, Mac McWhorter hung in there. They had a bunch of chalkboards, grease boards on that sideline trying to work to figure out what to do. And Colt really hung in there with patience because it wasn't an easy day for him. But he did a lot of it with his feet, and that really helps us. If we can go back and run zone read with him, not just John Childs, it really helps our offense, and he showed he can do that, and we'll continue to do it.
Coach, can you talk about Quan Cosby and the year he's had so far?
Quan's been great. He's a better leader than he is anything else. He just to the other kids. He steps up. He talks to them. He's fun. He never panics. He never asks for the ball. And I noticed he's slipping up on those charts now as one of our top receivers in school history. And at the same time, he had a bunch of blocks on the long plays that Jamal ran down the field and made a catch that you just don't see on a regular basis. So he's really, really a good player for us. We're fortunate to have him. And sometimes as sad as we were that he didn't come and he went to baseball 6 years ago or whatever it was, we're really, really lucky that he separated from those other guys, and we've got him now.
You talk about Oklahoma State blitzing, 49%. You said you just went through a lot of blitzing. What do you guys have to do this week, or that you know that you have to do this week that you learned from this previous game?
Oh, just we should have a better feel that they're coming this week. We were ready for the blitz at Nebraska last week. You just don't expect to see it ever play. You know, so it changed. We had a drastic change in play selection in the second half from the first half just because they kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And so our plan will be more for all-out blitz this week. And when you have that, obviously you have to adjust during the ball game, which very few teams, if you look at it, that are behind at halftime win. Very few teams that are behind at the end of the third quarter ever win. And that's what was so pleasing to me about this staff and this team. There's a lot of trust with people, and I don't know if we'd have taken hands with you all or in the crowd who thought we were going to pull it out, but it probably would have been a thin bunch of friends there at the end. A lot of people were laughing leaving the stadium, but they weren't at the end of the third quarter. So we hung in there pretty good, and that's a good thing. That helps your team. It helps your staff, and it builds confidence. And we were able to sell that to our team yesterday. We were in trouble. You guys didn't panic. We didn't panic. Everybody hung in there. Everybody fought. And that's what's fun about winning. It's you come from behind wins are the best thing for a coach because you know your team believed, your staff could make adjustments, and you know that your team's tough. And if you say that you want your team to have the personality of your coaching staff, and if they don't finish well like we did at Kansas State, it makes you want to throw up. So it makes you feel so much better about a bunch fighting through, and that helps you in life. And it's what this whole premise is. It's not just about sports. It's about overcoming adversity in life and kicking back and fighting through like we all do every day. And it's a great message to people across this state that when you get in trouble, you can fight out. And I thought that was the resilience that this team showed. We wouldn't have done that at the first of the year. I said we wouldn't have played as well at the end in Baylor the first of the year. So this team's really growing up, and we're getting back a lot of the things we had 3 years ago that we lost after the national championship for whatever reason.
Coach, did you get a chance to celebrate your 100th win here at the university and your feelings about being up there in the same breathing space as Coach Royal?
Well, number one, I did not get a chance to enjoy it because I went home, watched the film, and tried to figure out why we didn't make a first down for 3 quarters like everybody else. And then I started getting sick thinking about why we hadn't started well against Oklahoma State, especially in Stillwater. So that's what I did Saturday night. Secondly, when you win 167 games and win 3 national championships, start an offense in football, and have a stadium named after you, nobody will ever come close to the legacy that Coach Royal has at the University of Texas. And my name should be mentioned as a guy who's done pretty well here and won some games. It should not ever be mentioned in the same breath with Coach Darrell Royal, and that's easy for me, and I feel the same way. On another note, it has shown great consistency with a lot of good coaches and players over 10 years, and thanks to DeLoss and all those players. I'm going to try, if I can, to get Bill's going to write on the website, or I wish I could get a letter to every kid that's played here for 10 years and thank them for all they've done, because it's been a lot of hard work. And there have been some tough games, but a lot of really good games and super memories, and it's been fun. And for a guy who constantly sits up here and sells team all the time, it would be really, really selfish for me to act like that I had anything to do with this more than another coach or another player to loss. So it's easy for me to understand it's been about a whole lot of people working hard.
Coach, you talked about the team having the personality of their coaching staff, and we may have talked about this before, but you look back at Gundy's rant to the media. You know, what was going through your mind as you heard about that or saw a replay of the press conference, and what kind of an effect does that have on the team?
Well, first, I thought that's the way I feel with you all every Monday. No. I know Mike pretty well, and I really respect him, and I thought all he was doing was taking up for a young player on his team. It had nothing to do with the media. It had nothing to do with anything else. It had to do with being an extended parent. And that's the way I feel. And people think I defend our players too much sometimes. They're our players. It's like anybody who has children defends their children. I mean, it's 100%, and that's not going to change. I thought it, but probably got too big to be about the media, and was he right, and should he have challenged somebody else? The whole thing to me was about the coach defending the player. And it was about personal things. It wasn't about playing. And I thought he also did a good job of basically saying, get on me, stay off the players. And that's the way I feel. So I don't do that in this setting with you all, obviously, but I understand exactly where he was coming from and what he did. And what I usually do is call you if one of you attacks a player, and I think it's unfair. But I understood completely. And I think the team rallied behind it, obviously, because they have played really, really well since then. They're so much better from Georgia and Troy. It doesn't even look like the same teams as the team that played those guys. They're playing. Their games have been so exciting. I think they beat Tech and gave up 650 yards passing. I mean, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. It just boom, boom, boom. But it ought to be fun. Ought to be a great football game for ABC. In fact, if you look at our game with them, now our game with Tech's going to be on ABC, our game with A&M will be on ABC. We've got 3 really exciting weeks coming up here for Texas football. We just need to finish right.
Thank you much.
Thanks, folks.